Hello everybody, I am Tom and you are watching my build for Chroma. I'm a dragon! Alright. So this here is my build. This is a 3-former build, so it takes a bit to get there, but it's probably worth it, I would say. He's pretty good. You'll see here that, first things first, we have tanked range at 52%. That gives us essentially 100% efficiency with 228% duration and 235% strength. It's also worth noting this would actually take more former if you wanted to up your narrow-minded and blind rage. And transient fortitude, for that matter. Which you can do if you want to get like the maximum ridiculous over-the-top Chroma. At which point he has like 250 in both his strength and duration pretty much. But what... Well, I'll go through the build for starters. We have Steel Charge. The reason I've got Steel Charge, I've attempted to former this out. It would make it a 4-former build, but have it so that I could use Energy Siphon and or Corrosive Projection. As it stands now, that would only take one more former. Just formering this slot here, so it was a dash former rather than a V former. Because he actually comes with this V polarity, which is why I've got it as it is. For movement 1, I got Power Drift. For the ability strength is the main reason it's there. Which gives you 15% ability strength and chance to resist knockdown. It's there entirely for the ability strength, nothing else. Constitution gives us the 28% ability duration. Once again, knockdown recovery, nice I suppose, but not why it's here because of the duration. It's worth noting you can probably, I've said this in a previous video, but you can place this with... It's not Augur Reach, it's something else Reach. Augur Message, rather, which gives you plus 24% ability duration. It's easier to get Augur Message in general at this point in the game than it is Constitution. So you're losing like 4% ability duration, but it's an easier mod to get, and it takes less spots, so you can go like this. Which, I mean, arguable one way or the other. Transient Fortitude for the ability strength. It gives you ability strength and tanks your duration. Blind Rage, strength, tanks your efficiency. Narrow-minded, gives you duration and tanks your range. Prime Continuity, a bunch of ability duration. Intensify, strength. Streamline, without this streamline, it puts you at 75% efficiency. Which honestly is not too bad for Chroma. He can go negative efficiency a lot of the time when you have the duration as high as we do. But it is what it is. And Steel Fiber to up his armor. And the reason we're upping his armor is because of... I'll now cut to some footage while I explain these. His abilities. His first one is Spectral Scream. It's... meh. I mean, honestly I don't like it much at all, because you can't do anything else while you're screaming. He just stands there blasting out some energy that does piss poor damage. And particularly with this build, it has no range, and I've built it like that quite specifically because I want to make his 2 and his 3 better. But, I mean... with this build, it does more damage, I suppose. So that's an argument. It's not very good. His second ability, on the other hand, Elemental Ward, it's worth noting that my Chroma has a bluey kind of grey colour, so he can have Ice Elemental for this ability quite specifically. An offensive area of effect is created. Chroma and nearby allies are imbued with defensive energy. Chroma's Ice form makes him buff armor, which is somewhat useful. More useful is Fire, I believe, buffs like health regen or something, which is not really as useful as armor, in all honesty. Armor is king at high levels. But we go next down to Vex Armor, which allows Chroma to become his real major tank, because when his shields are hit, his armor grows, and when his health hit, his weapon damage increases. So, I mean, the weapon damage is nice, but the main reason you do this is for armor and survivability, which, at max, this gives me a 822% armor increase and a 646% damage increase, which is significant. He becomes a tank and can take a lot of damage at that point. And finally, his fourth ability is Effigy, in which case he throws out his armor, which is probably not a very good idea with Chroma in all honesty, but it turns into like a sentry turret, which will blow things. Also ups your credit gain, I think. It makes enemies drop more credits or something like that. It's a weirdly specific part of his ability. I don't know why it does that. But with this build, it's actually not too bad, because it has a fair amount of health, does a fair amount of damage, and is fairly, well, I wouldn't say fairly cheap, but it's like pretty much standard as far as energy cost. So it's not like you're really hamstringing yourself by using it. But that's Chroma in a nutshell. So I'll play out the rest of this mission, so you can just watch that and see how these abilities work together. But for that, I can say thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.
Navigation
Bye.
has been updated with new invasions. Chaos is spreading.